Good morning, children. Today we are going to begin with the second chapter of history from trade to territory. The company establishes power. As we know that the Britishers came to India during the Mughal rule. Okay, so they came here for trade purpose only in order to purchase some of the goods had a high demand in Europe and for selling in Europe. This purpose they came to India as a trading company. It was a private company, private establishment, but later on they captured power in our country. Okay, so we know that there were many Mughal rulers, powerful Mughal rulers. Aurangzeb was the last powerful Mughal rulers. We know that many were there, and among them Aurangzeb was the last powerful ruler. After Aurangzeb also there were rulers, but Aurangzeb was the last powerful Mughal ruler. So here he established control over large parts of the present day India, which is now we know called India. It's a large areas, not the entire South India also was not included in the Mughal Empire, but large regions of present day India was the part of Mughal Empire. We know after the death of Aurangzeb in 1707, Aurangzeb died. Okay. After the death of Aurangzeb, the Mughal Empire, which stretched the large regions of India, was divided into smaller territories. We know that there were Subedars or the provincial governors. Each region was headed by the Mughal Empire was divided into many provinces, and each province was headed by the Subedars or provincial governors. They declared independence and they became the rulers of their own regions. Okay, so Mughal Empire was divided into many smaller kingdoms. Okay, where the provincial governors became the actual rulers of their own region. So when the powerful regional kingdoms emerged, these regional kingdoms of the smaller kingdoms became powerful, and Delhi at this time when the Mughal rule was established, we know that Delhi was the effective center. Okay, so from there the Mughal ruler or Mughal emperor ruled all over the territories, all other smaller territories also. But when these smaller kingdoms or regional kingdoms became powerful, Delhi lost its central power. Okay, because Delhi was functioned as effective center during the Mughal rule, and later Delhi lost its power. So by the second half of the 18th century, we know that a new power emerging on the political horizon, that is the British. Okay, British people are getting the power in our country. So here British originally came to India for not purpose of ruling the country or capturing territory, as a trading company, and where they did not want to capture territories actually. But how they have come to the masters of the vast empire? In this chapter we are going to study about this. Okay, so after Aurangzeb there was no powerful Mughal ruler, as we have already studied, but Mughal emperors continued to be the symbolically important. Okay, Mughal rulers later also Mughal rulers, they were the superior to other regional kingdoms also. Okay, still it continued. We know that when the massive rebellion against British rule, largely British rule in 1857, okay, after so many years, 1857, a rebellion against the British rule started here. Then the Mughal emperor was Bahadur Shah Zafar. That time in 1857, Mughal emperor was Bahadur Shah Zafar. People declared him as the emperor of India. Okay, so here once the revolt was put down by the company, Bahadur Shah was captured. When the Britishers suppressed all this revolt, then that time Bahadur Shah was captured and he was forced to leave the country. Also he had two sons, they were all shot dead, and Bahadur Shah was sent to Burma from our country, so that he had to leave the country. Now like that British East India Company, okay, private trading company, establishes their power. So how they started when they came to India in 1600. in 1600 British East India Company came to India. Okay, so here they acquired a charter. Charter means a written document from the order from the Queen Elizabeth. The ruler of England was Queen Elizabeth during 1600, and they got a charter. This company, East India Company, got a charter from the Queen Elizabeth I was the ruler then. Okay, so what was the charter written? They granted this company, East India Company, the sole right to trade with the East. East means the eastern countries from Europe, the India and other South Asian countries are towards the east. Okay, so they got only this country has only this company has the right to trade with the east, so that this meant that no other trading company in Britain can trade with the eastern countries. Only East India Company from England had the right to trade with it. With this charter, the company could venture across the oceans looking for new lands, and from it could buy goods very cheaply and carry them to Europe and sell for higher prices. So this document or with this charter enabled this company to venture or searching for new lands in the eastern regions and eastern countries, or establishing trade center there. Also they were able to purchase goods very cheaply and sell them with high prices in Europe. Okay, so that the company did not have the competition from other English trading companies. We know that this company, English East India Company, only had the right to purchase. No other companies were. During that period, there were no other companies purchasing goods. Okay, so here the company did not have such kind of competition. So mercantile trading companies, that means business establishments. Okay, mercantile means the business enterprises or business establishments. All these in those days made profit primarily by excluding competition, because there were no competition, no other companies were there. So the only one company, they could earn maximum profit. So they used to buy cheap goods, cheaply, not cheap goods, goods very cheaply from our country and sold them in the European markets. So the royal charter, that means the charter or the document issued from the Queen, however, could not prevent the other European powers from entering the eastern markets. We know that British East India Company had got the charter from their own queen, but other European companies from other countries, there were other European companies also came to India for this purpose. So here the English East India Company could not prevent other companies to trade with India. Okay, so there starts the competition between different European countries or different European companies. Okay, so here by this time, first English ships sailed down the west coast of Africa. They had to find out the way all from crossing the entire African continent. From Europe coming to India, they had to cross the entire African continent. So that here already we know, before the Britishers arriving in India, there were other English, other European companies, not English, European companies were there. Okay, the Europeans were settled here. We know that Portuguese came in first. The Portuguese already established their presence in the western coast of India, that is Goa. Also they had their base. Okay, so west coast, especially in Goa, the Portuguese already had settled. We had studied in the previous class in 7th standard about Vasco da Gama, Portuguese explorer or navigator, had discovered a sea route to India in 1498. Vasco da Gama in 1498 came to India, and through crossing all the African continent and reached India. Okay, they established their base in Goa also, and especially Vasco da Gama, Portuguese navigator, came to India in the west coast of Calicut in Kerala. Okay, so later on in Goa also they settled. By the early 17th century, the Dutch also came from Holland, and Dutch people also came, and they also had trade centers in our country. So the problem was that all the companies were interested in same products only. What were available in our country, silk or cotton or spices, etc. Especially the cardamom, pepper, cloves, cinnamon. These all spices had very high demand in European countries. So all these European countries had, they were interested to buy these goods only. Okay, so there was also competition started between the European companies here. So the prices of the goods also maximum, they all wanted to purchase the goods very cheaply. Okay, so here trading companies had fierce battles here. These European companies or the European countries like the French, Dutch and English or Portuguese, these people quarreled each other. They had rivalries or fighting between them. Okay, so here it was common during that period, some country, one European country capturing the ships of other European country and sinking in the oceans. Okay, and even in the ocean also, in the midst of the ocean, they used to fight each other. So here these ships also were not allowed to move further or move forward. Okay, like that quarrels or rivalry continued in the ocean also. So trade was carried out with the arms, then and the trading posts were protected through fortification also. We know that trades they used, even though they came for the trading purpose only, they had all the weapons with them, because like an army they fought each other in order to protect their own goods and their trade. Okay, they started fortification also, constructing forts also, where they established their warehouses or factories. So this effort to fortify settlements to carry on profitable trade also led to intense conflict between the local rulers also. We know that the local rulers also were against this type of fortification. Once they construct the forts, what happened? The East India companies become powerful. They were also will be a threat to the local rulers. So local rulers also protested against their fortification. So the company therefore found it was difficult to separate trade and politics. Because of these reasons, the company had to establish their power, and they had to establish political power also. So here in the coming class we will study how East India Company begins trade in Bengal region. Bengal was a prosperous region in the under the Mughal rule, so that here East India Company establishes or trading with Bengal.